Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 27 of the ETL2 challenge. So it's been an eventful morning already. I woke up at midnight. I went to bed probably fell asleep about 8:30. So, I mean, that's a decent amount of time for me to sleep, pretty normal. And I really couldn't fall back asleep, but my husband wasn't in bed with me. So I was like, he probably fell asleep on the couch, or every once in a while he falls asleep in the chair at the desk. I don't know how that... I can't sleep with the best of conditions. I can't imagine being able to sleep in that type of condition. But anyways, so I texted him, and which is so stupid. I know we're in the same house, but I'm not going to yell like, hey, where are you? So anyway, I texted him to see, I asked him are you asleep in some uncomfortable position somewhere? And if he was actually sleeping, maybe it would wake him up and he could come to bed, or if he wasn't sleeping, then he might respond. Anyways, so he came into the bedroom a few minutes later, and he said, well, I am awake. And I was like, on purpose? He said, well, yes. Oh, are you doing something exciting and fun? No, Connor's up vomiting. I was like, bummer. So two of my boys, Connor and Owen, had field trips yesterday, but Owen's field trip was to a museum, so he packed a lunch for him. But Connor went to this medieval times place, and you couldn't bring a lunch, like period, you couldn't bring a lunch. So we just told him to make sure that they told them no gluten, no dairy. Otherwise, you know, you get what you get. But anyway, I'm not exactly sure. He had chicken of some sort, and corn on the cob, and some kind of a potato wedge that looked like, they said maybe it was fried or something. Anyway, he was so cute last night. He said, it was really good, but it was really unhealthy. I was like, yeah, I bet it was. I need to go turn the muffins around. I'm making muffins for the kids. That's part of my busy morning so far. So let me go turn those around, and I'll be right back. So anyways, he had a good time, but I'm not sure if I tell him that he has food poisoning that he's going to think that that was super awesome or not. We'll see how many, Anthony will have to call him in sick for school today, so we'll see how many, if the person that he talks to at the front office says that anybody else is called in sick or not. But anyways, so that, I read for a little while before I got up because I just really didn't feel like getting out of bed. And then I've been making muffins for the kids. Nope, you can't see them. One tray is already done. And the other one is in the oven doing its thing. So I also make them for my techs up in my part-time job, because so recently on Thursdays when I go up, my tech has been bringing me, giving me bananas that are ripe, and she's like, do you want me to bring you some ripe bananas if you want to make muffins? I was like, sure. So I'll bring each of them 3 muffins, and then my boys can have the rest. So anyways, I am now ready to cook. And I'm going to make something called mashed cauliflower and spinach with mushrooms. So I was looking up on his website things that were in the ETL, but that were with mushrooms, because I have a 24-ounce package of mushrooms in the refrigerator that the last time I bought a 24-ounce package of mushrooms, I ended up having to throw them away because they got really smelly. So this looks like it's going to be a really awesome recipe. So I'm only doing half the recipe, so let's look at the ingredients first. So here you go. Take a snapshot of the ingredients. And there is the instructions. So I'm making half of a recipe rather than a full recipe because, oh shoot, half a recipe is only 5 ounces of mushrooms. Well, that's a bummer. I wanted to use 10 ounces because, like, I've got a bunch. Well, okay, so here's the deal. It calls for 6 cups of cauliflower. And I have a bag of frozen cauliflower that says it has 4 cups in it. I don't have another bag of cauliflower, frozen cauliflower, so I can't go out and just use half of another bag. So I guess I could make 2/3 of a recipe, or I could just make everything else the same and just have a little bit less cauliflower. That'd probably be okay. Just have a little bit more topping than you would have of the mashed cauliflower part. Let's try that and see what happens. That'll be awesome. Okay, so we're going to use 4 cups for the list of ingredients that you have. We're going to use 4 cups of cauliflower rather than 6, and everything else will stay the same. We'll see how this works. Okay, so anyways, so the first thing you're supposed to do is finely chop your mushrooms in a food processor, which I really hate this idea because mushrooms can turn really gooey and funky really, really fast in a food processor. I've tried before, but I'm going to give it another shot. I thought maybe I would just put a couple of them in there at a time, and maybe that would be beneficial. So anyway, I've got my food processor on the counter. I've got some mushrooms that are cleaned up. Just gonna pull the little tail out because I don't know. Apparently the tail of the mushroom is supposed to be one of the better parts for you. Like it's got higher levels of something or other in them, but I don't know. I just always pull the tail out. I'm not sure. My mom hates it. I call it a tail. She's like, it's a stem. I'm like, yeah, it's a tail. And she's like, no, it's a stem. Anyways, I'm gonna go do that. And then once I've got those into little chunks, you're supposed to, the first ingredient is heat 2 to 3 tablespoons of water in a large skillet and water saute 1/4 cup of shallots that you finely chopped for about a minute. Add your mushrooms and, let's see, 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, and cook until all the liquid has evaporated off the mushrooms, which actually might take a while because mushrooms can be very wet. I read somewhere that you're supposed to not wash your mushrooms in the sink. You're supposed to take a damp cloth and just wipe them off because mushrooms are so absorbent that when you wash them, they absorb the water. I still wash them, but yeah. And then you're supposed to add 1/2 cup of dry white wine and cook for an additional 4 minutes until evaporated and set that aside. So I stopped last night at the store on the way home and got some Chardonnay because we were out, but I don't know if that counts as a dry white wine or a sweet white wine. I have no idea. I don't drink wine. So anyway, it'll be good enough. So I'm gonna go do that part. And then the next part you do is stuff with the cauliflower, and then the part after that is something with spinach. So let me go get the mushrooms started and I'll be back with you. All right guys, so step 1 is complete, and that is a little pile of mushrooms that are not exactly attractive looking. However, they smell like white wine. So yeah, that's what that is hopefully supposed to look like. I mean, it does look like the picture. It looks like the topping in the picture. So that's, yep, there you go. So there's that. Step number 2 is to take and steam, which, seeing as this pan is already dirty from the mushrooms that I cooked in there, I'm going to use that and put that little guy in there. I don't ever use this thing, but this will work for steaming. You're supposed to put your cauliflower in here. So there's my cauliflower. And you're supposed to put 4 cloves of garlic. So I do buy garlic cloves at the Asian grocery store. I probably need to chop these little ends off, don't I? I should do that quick. I buy them at the Asian grocery store, and so I always have some in the refrigerator. I just don't ever use them because minced garlic is so stinking easy. It's already cut up. So anyway, I'm going to go chop the ends off of these, put a lid on this, and I'm going to cook it, it says, for 8 to 10 minutes or until tender. I really don't know that it's going to take very long. I mean, it is frozen, but it doesn't need to, like, I guess it needs to cook. Anyways, so we're going to go cook this for a minute. And it says when this is done, you want to take this out and press as much water out of it as you can, which means I'm probably going to rinse it with cold water because I don't want to play with that with my hands when it's hot. So this is step number 2. Mushrooms for step number 1 is done. Cauliflower with, I need to chop these off. Garlics are step number 2. So I'll see you guys for step number 3 in just a minute. Alright guys, so you can probably hear it. I've got the cauliflower and the garlic going in here, and I just realized that in a little bit you're supposed to food process the, the cauliflower, and you're supposed to have either a 1/4 cup of cashew butter or a 1/2 cup of cashews, and seeing my cashews are always frozen, I think I'm just going to dump them in here for a few minutes. I've only got about 3 minutes left on the steaming part, and I think I'm going to do that real quick, because I think that might work out better than to leave them frozen on their own. I don't know that I didn't really want to take this lid off, but I am going to do that. Yeah. So, yes, I know I'm supposed to squeeze all the water out of the cauliflower that I can, but those cashews will just have to hang out. But I just wanted to show you that step real quick because I decided that that seemed like it would be a good idea. Alright guys, so on to food step, well, we're still on food step number 2 before we start food step number 3. So you're supposed to take the cauliflower and the garlic guys that are in there and put it in your food processor. This is still really hot. So I poked at it to see how much water was on there, and it actually didn't have like hardly any water at all, so I really wasn't too worried about this. Alright. Okay, so that goes in there. So then you also want to, it says you can add soy, hemp, or almond milk if you need to thin this out a little bit, so that again I wasn't super worried about drying that out as much as possible, because you're going to add some liquid if you need to. And it says to add 2 tablespoons of Dr. Furman's Veggie Zest or other no salt seasoning blend. I'm going to be smart this time and only use 1/2 of a tablespoon, even though it calls for 2 tablespoons of this stuff, because it is very strong. But I am going to also use a tablespoon of hemp seeds. So that is not something that is in the recipe. However, it has been really good in the last couple things that I've made. So I'm going to go ahead and put a tablespoon of that in here. I think that it will have a really good flavor. We'll see. Okay, so I didn't clean my lid from the mushrooms, but I rinsed everything else off. So let's get this processed. could see where he would say you need a little bit of liquid to get this completely creamy, because it's supposed to be super, super creamy. But I'm gonna give it a couple of tries on its own. All right, so it looks pretty good, but it's still just kind of a tiny little bit chunky, so I'm gonna put a little bit of liquid in there. I'm just gonna put a little bit of the unsweetened soy milk in there. Yep, that's looking a lot better. One more time. Okay, so that is step number 2 complete. Step number 3 is pretty darn easy. You want to take your same little basket, and I need to clean it out. I've got a couple little pieces of cashews in there and stuff. And you want to put in 10 ounces of spinach, which I don't have 10 ounces of spinach left, but I'm going to use what I have left, which is probably about 6 to 7 ounces maybe. And you want to steam that. And it says just until it's wilted, so I don't think that'll take more than a couple of minutes. And so as soon as that's done, we're going to come back and we're going to put it all together. Alrighty guys, so here's the cauliflower, here is my wilty spinach, and here are the mushrooms. So this gets mixed together and this gets put on top. So I'm gonna go mix that together and put some of that on top, and we'll come back and try it. I just wanted to let you know what it looks like all in pieces. So yeah, it's very pretty. It's green and white and brown. All right, I'll see you guys in just a second with the plate. Okay guys, this is not super pretty. So you saw the thumbnail for sure already, but so the cauliflower and the spinach and then those mushrooms. First things first, the mushrooms, oh my gosh, they're super tasty. Like, wow, these little mushroom guys on top are absolutely delicious. I would totally do that to a mushroom again. That's really good. All right, let's try the cauliflower with the spinach. I had tried the mushrooms when they were just sitting there, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are so good. So this is just the cauliflower and the spinach, and then I'll try it with the cauliflower, the spinach, and the mushrooms. That's very good too. All right, let's try a bite with all of it. You know, I think I could have left out the no seasoning salt blend mix stuff and just put the hemp seeds in there. It would have been totally fine. That's really good. That's a keeper. I really like that. That's really, really yummy. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna take all of this. If it fits in a bowl, I'm just gonna take it with me. I might have a few more bites now. If some of it doesn't fit in the container to go with me for lunch. But I'm going to take some chili, and I'm going to take this with me for lunch, which makes me feel kind of piggy for eating like an entire bag of cauliflower and 6 ounces of spinach and 10 ounces of mushrooms, but you blend it up, it gets really little. So anyways, this is fabulous. You guys totally have to make this. Okay, I'm gonna go finish packing up for work. Oh man, this is good. Cool. All right, and I'll see you later. Alrighty guys, so I am leaving work, and oh my gosh, today's been horrible. I am so tired and so stinking cold. We've had a space heater going in the pharmacy at work, and it's still freezing. Oh my gosh, I've been cold all day. So my nose is runny. Ugh, feels horrible. Anyways, I had my cauliflower spinach mushroom dish this morning. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Holy cow, that was super, super good. So my one technician, I had her try it because she likes just about everything that I make. She tried it and she loved it, and she asked, is there anything that I could replace the mushrooms with? And I was like, She liked it, and she would totally have eaten it if I brought her some, but she wanted to make the recipe herself, and then she was like, I'm never gonna buy a mushroom. I'm never gonna chop them. I'm not gonna eat them. It's not gonna happen. So I was thinking maybe some like TVP or something like that, some soy curls that are crumbled or something. I don't actually know. But the recipe, the way that it was awesome. Like super, super delicious. So I would highly recommend you guys make that. I did not eat again. I really actually was planning on it. And I just, it was cold and I didn't feel like it. So there. Anyway, I'm going to head home and I'm going to eat my chili that I have. But first things first, when I get home, I'm going to change and I'm going to jog because I am exhausted and I'm not going to want to do it if I wait till after I eat. So at least that way, if I get done and I'm not super hungry, I can just go to bed and not worry about eating. But I'm really hungry right now, so I'm probably going to eat. But anyways, that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you had a fabulous day, and I will see you again